dance in as we bring him out. You know him as Luke Skywalker and as the Joker.
So much. Thank you. How is everybody today? So am I. Where are you from? So am I. Alright. Take off this hat. I've been watching a lot of Turner Classic movies where nobody left the house without a hat in those days. But I might have hat hair, so how about this too? Well, listen, I want to talk, standing before you is a kindred spirit. Because long before I did anything that you would recognize, I was going to cons. I think the first convention I went to was at the Ambassador Hotel in the early 70s. And I was still in college, and in the newspaper it said they were going to show Metropolis, the silent Fritz Lang film that I'd read about in Famous Monsters magazine. I said, ooh, I gotta go see that. And off we went. And it was maybe, I don't know, 10 dealers, 2 16mm projectors, and all these comic books. That a lot of them I had as a kid before I was shamed into giving them up by peer pressure from my brothers and sisters. And I said, oh, I had that one, I had that one, I had that one. I think that sort of, I got the bug to collect again. Back in the early 70s. So I'm here to talk about anything you want to talk about. We'll talk about cartoon work, or, of course my memorable turn on the Partridge Family. We can talk about that galaxy far, far away. But first I want to talk about Sprint. Talk about Star Wars. Shut up, you nerds! Just trying to save you money on long distance. For all you Simpsons fans out there. So, one thing I didn't talk about since it happened was the loss of Kenny Baker. And I have to tell you, Kenny and Jack Purvis were a team called the Mini-Tones. And they were both little people, and they both played instruments. Jack played the trumpet, and Kenny played the xylophone. And they were in that tradition of old vaudeville. Hilarious, both of them, separately and together. They kept us laughing nonstop. Because the first part of Star Wars we did in North Africa. Before Carrie came over, before Harrison came over. I went over with Anthony Daniels and Kenny, and Peter Diamond, the stunt director, and Sir Alec. But they were nonstop entertaining. So when we got back to London, I said, I'd really love to see your act. I'd love to see the Mini-Tones, and I'd really like to experience it the way it would be if I were on your crew. So they said, okay, come along. And we went off on a Sunday. They did 2 shows, one in the afternoon for sort of like a family audience. And then we went to another venue, I don't know, 100 miles away, it took us hours, for an evening audience. But it was a really amazing act because basically Jack was the guy who was making fun of how short Kenny was. Jack was this tall, Kenny was this tall. So, but he was an amazing guy. I was very lucky to have seen him about a month and a half ago for the last time when we were in Celebration in London. And it was great to at least see him one more time. And I loved him, and I know all of you did as well. So I just thought I should acknowledge him and his great contribution to the movies. Yeah. So, you know, I often say, you know, this is not a show. This is like an intimate conversation between thousands of my new best friends and me. A beloved international pop icon, and a legend in my own mind. So I've always lived in sort of a delusional bubble of my own. You know, like Walter Mitty. I was the middle of 7 children. My dad was in the Navy, so we moved from coast to coast to coast to coast. I went to 9 schools in 12 years, so I was perpetually the new kid. And I always sort of was, and I had my oldest brother, and I had 2 sisters here, and then 2 younger sisters here, and a younger brother there. So it was like this wedge of sisters that delighted in annoying me. And they do crazy things like go into my bedroom when they knew my friends were coming over and put up posters of like Frankie Avalon and, you know, with kiss marks on them and stuff, always tormenting me. The first girl I ever got the nerve to call on the phone, I was having this conversation with her. I didn't know my older sister Terry picked up the phone with a can of Coca-Cola, and she would intermittently, in our conversation, belch. And I thought it was her, and I'm sure she thought it was me. Later they said, how did the phone conversation go? And I said, well, it went okay, but it was weird. She kept burping. She didn't admit to this, of course, until we were both in our 30s. And she apologized, which is funny, because I'd forgotten about it, but thanks for reminding me, sis. It's been an interesting 2 years for me, because in the last 5 years, so many of the things that I enjoyed early on in my career have come back again. Not just Star Wars, but Chris Roberts called me up. We did Wing Commander together in the 90s. And he says, we're going to do another one. We're going to do Star Citizen Squadron 42. And what a cast. It's Gary Oldman and Gillian Anderson, Jack Houston, just a great cast. Ben Mendelsohn from Rogue One. And by the way, have you seen the Rogue One trailer? Wow. I know, it looks great. Now, I don't really like going on set unless people invite me, because I feel like, you know, I'm a guest and they have to, you know, be a host and so forth. But they asked me, do you want to go visit the Rogue One set? I said, oh, sure. So I went up and I wore my Godzilla t-shirt. Because I was shamelessly, you know, pandering to Gareth Edwards. But I was talking about how great the standalone films have a chance to be, because each one could have their own identity. You could have like the young Han Solo film, you know, roguish comedy, you know, like, I don't know, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance. Each, you know, the Rogue One looks like a gritty World War II film of some sort. But each of these standalone films have an advantage that the trilogies don't, because we have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's like a 3-act play. The standalones can establish their premise, get on, get the job done, and get off. Which I was telling Gareth how exciting that would be. And I said, you don't have to worry about the fact that, like in the prequels to Star Wars, we'd say, oh, well, Obi-Wan can't die because he's in episode 4. That's the problem with prequels. And in this one, you know, all bets are off. You don't know what's going to happen. Now, I'm not going to tell you now, but maybe in a year's time, I will tell you that Gareth Edwards said 5 words, which were the biggest spoiler of all time. I went, oh no! Why did you tell me that? Because we've been so indoctrinated into the secrecy thing. I mean, episode 7 was the only film I've ever made where you had to wear what they call a security cloak on your way from the trailer to the soundstage. Big, long, flowing robe with a hood. And I said, is this really necessary? I mean, we're at Pinewood. It's a protected, you know, you have to go through the guard and there's security. One word, Mark, drones. And I said, you know, I should have thought of that, because back when we were doing Empire Strikes Back, there was a a rescue team looking for 2 skiers that had had an accident, but the tabloid newspaper bribed them into flying over our set and taking photographs of our props and so forth. So even back in the day, before drones, that was a problem. What I loved about it, though, was that they got pictures of like snowmobiles with clear company names on the side, well-known brands, and it was nothing but snowmobiles parked out in the snow, and the caption was, "Strange alien vehicles populate the terrain of the new Star Wars film." I love when false information gets leaked. Because when we were doing the scene in Empire, the big revelation at the end of the film, I've told this before, and I'll try and not repeat myself. We'll get on to something else. But very briefly, Kirshner said, "I'm going to tell you something you're going to know, George knows. And when I tell you, you'll know. So if it leaks, we'll know who to blame." And I said, what? He said, "Well, you know the line where Vader has you, in the climactic scene? The line, 'You don't know the truth. Obi-Wan killed your father.'" I said, "Yeah, that's a great twist. That Alec Guinness is going to turn out to be the bad guy." And they said, "No, we're going to take that line out. And by the way, don't tell David Prowse." God, I love David, but he leaks like a sieve. We're going to dub in, "I am your father." Alec, you're kidding. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, it's great. Now, to explain why they kept that from Dave, he saw Empire Strikes Back. He walked out of the screening room, right up to the line of photographers, and he said, "Who could believe it? Not only do I lop off Luke's hand, but it turns out I'm his bleeding father." Of course, all the Fox executives grabbed their hearts, begged the press, "Don't print that." And they didn't, to their credit. It's like there's an understanding that if you review like an Agatha Christie film or The Sixth Sense or something that has a really shocking twist ending, that you save the fun for future audiences. You don't give it away in reviews. And I thought, David, why didn't you do that? He's really a sweet guy, but he comes from a different world. He was a fitness expert. He was a bodybuilder. He didn't really start out in show business. He just gravitated that way because of that magnificent physical presence he has. But it's all in good fun. The secrecy, though, again, it's getting crazy. It's like I can't say anything without it being speculated on. So you know me. I'm a trickster, I'm a joker. I'm a midnight toker. And so once I realized, I was giving this talk at a university in England, I was talking about how much I admired Daisy. She's so smart and inventive and the sweetest thing. She's gorgeous. And as I was going along, I thought, this is verging into creepy, dirty old man territory. So I said, and I relate to her, of course, in a fatherly way. Wow! Oh my gosh! Everybody just lost their lunch and said, so it's all over, and then Lucasfilm was calling, "Did you say that Daisy's your daughter?" And I said, no. But then I started really playing with it. And I tweeted, happy birthday to John Boyega, who was sensational in episode 7. Typo or spoiler, you be the judge. Just to, mix it up. I just love it. Same thing now. Oscar Isaac was born like 4 months before my son, Nathan. So I said, happy birthday, Oscar. I could say you're my son's age, but I don't want to start any trouble. Of course, the opposite is true. I don't want to start a lot of trouble. People ask me, how did you get into voiceover? I did one series when I was still on a soap opera. I think I was 18 or 19, and they did an animated version of the I Dream of Jeannie series. And I was the teenage Larry Hagman. And Julie McWhirter played Jeannie. This was 92, it was. No, 72. And I really enjoyed it. I worked with some of my idols, Dawes Butler and Don Messick and John Stevenson, all the stalwarts of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, the Yogi Bears and Huckleberry Hounds and Rough and Ready's. I was totally into it. See, I loved it. And then I didn't work again in animation for 20 years. It just never occurred to me because you go on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. By the time I got involved in Batman, now there were agents that were just voiceover agents. I don't remember, but I don't remember them being around in '72. And with Batman, the way that came about, so okay, I'm a huge fan. I'm reading, all the fanzines and so forth, and I read that they're going to do this Batman series, and I started seeing the talent they're assembling for it. And the fact that the producers said that our models for this series are the Max Fleischer Superman theatrical cartoons of the 40s. I said, oh man, this is going to be great. They're going to hit that sweet spot where it's good for kids, but it's going to be entertaining to the older audience that really likes Batman comic books. Because I love the Adam West Batman. It just came at the right time for me, and I love Batman so much, and I wanted the whole world to know about Batman. And it just took television by storm. It was a huge, 60s, Bond, Beatles, and Batman, okay? So I said to my agent, I want to be on this show. Can you get me on the show? Or give me an audition for the show? And she called back and said, they said you could be on the show. And I said, oh, great. And what is it? She goes, well, it's the origin of Mr. Freeze. I said, oh, Mr. Freeze, okay. Which Mr. Freeze should I do? Should I do the Otto Preminger Mr. Freeze? Should I do the Eli Wallach Mr. Freeze? She goes, no, wait a minute. You're not Mr. Freeze. Michael and Sarah is Mr. Freeze. I said, I love Michael and Sarah, but I want to be Mr. Freeze. See, I started whining long before I was talking about Tosche Station. But she said, no, just go in and do it. And so I go in and I do the show. And they have the drawings for the first time. Those incredible backgrounds, the subdued colors and all the, very three-dimensional. And then all the various characters, including the Joker at the time, but in two-dimensional with colors that really pop. So they, put up against the sort of subdued colors of the background would really, like I say, pop out. And, I was peppering the production team with questions like, are you doing characters that weren't on the TV series, or are you Dr. Hugo Strange, or you can do Clayface or Two-Face? And I just let my fanboy flag fly. Did you get the fanboy flag? Okay. So they said, okay, relax, you got the part. And I did it, it was great. Michael really struggled because he's a really passionate actor. He didn't really know from Batman. And he would be doing his lines, and they kept saying, no, less emotion. I would weep for you if I had tears to shed. And he didn't want to do that. He wanted to really emote. It's interesting, because, like Diane Pershing, who was Poison Ivy, never read a Batman comic book in her life. I was the comic book nerd. Kevin Conroy, never read a Batman comic book in his life. And for me, he's my Batman. He's the best Batman. I'm sorry. No, I love all the Batmans. I even love Louis Stone. But for me, it's Kevin. And so what's next? So that's the preamble for how I wound up as the Joker. My agent gives me a call. She goes, remember they gave me that part on the Batman? I didn't have to audition or anything. They said, just go do it. I'm playing Ferris Boyle. 9 months after doing it, we're sitting on the couch watching this, and my son Griffin, who was probably 10 at the time, watches the show and he goes, that's kind of neat, Dad, because he's Mr. Freeze and you're Ferris Boyle. And I went, oh, I didn't even get that. Will you start reading my scripts for me? I need some insight there. And they called me and said, okay, the actor that was playing the Joker, the executive, for whatever reason, want to change, they changed their minds. They could do that in voiceover. They could do it the very last minute. It's not like a feature film where you have so much footage and you're too expensive to recast. With voiceover, hey, a week before it comes out, did you know that John Lithgow recorded the entire script of Hercules before he was replaced by James Wood? Now, I tell voiceover actors this story because that's living proof that it doesn't have to do with your talent as much as the circumstances, because I don't think John Lithgow is one of the greatest actors ever. And can you imagine him as Hades? Fantastic. They just changed their mind. So anyway, they said, okay, so they're changing the actor that's playing the Joker. They want you to go on in and audition for the Joker. They're not giving it to me, I have to go in and audition. I thought, well, this is a really interesting situation. I'd just been in the play Amadeus for 9 or 10 months. 8 performances a week playing Mozart, and one of the characteristics of that character was that he writes the celestial, angelic music and has a laugh that's just appalling to the Viennese court. Peter Schaffer I did the first national tour and then I did it on Broadway, so I was directed by Sir Peter Hall, and Peter Schaffer, the author, was there. And he was telling me, I said, what's up with the laugh? He said, well, it's sort of like a brain donkey. The whole idea is that people are just appalled when they hear this man that's capable of writing such great music has this horrible laugh. And I said, oh good. And so what happens is when you get into the run, you have to keep it fresh for yourself, you know? People say, how do you do the same thing 8 times a week for weeks, months, and years on end? I never thought of it that way. I always think of it as the very first time you've ever done it, because for a lot of the audience, are going to be people that are seeing it for the very first time. And the only thing you could play with, you couldn't change the lines, but you could really play with that laugh. So, just out of boredom, I would just say, I think I'm going to do sort of like James Finlayson laugh, or I'm going to do Charles Lawton, or I just play around with character actors I liked. And I get notes from the stage manager. A little too Jerry Lewis tonight. What? Too Jerry? Oh my God. I thought I was doing good. But so you can really have some leeway with that laugh. So I was trying out all kinds of stuff. I was all over the place with the laugh. And the only reason I tell you this story is because by the time I went to audition for the Joker, I was equipped with like an arsenal of all these different kinds of laughs. And I had great confidence because a lot of times you want the part so badly that neediness shows through. And it makes people very uncomfortable. I tell young actors, pretend like you don't care. Pretend like, be a little, I might be a little, I don't know. Because they want you more if you're not that interested. If you're too eager, they'll sense it, and that's the end of that. But the reason I was in a good place was that when I went into audition, logically, I said to myself, there's no way, even if they wanted to, that they could cast Luke Skywalker as the Joker. It's a public relations nightmare from the get-go. Remember what happened to Michael Keaton? Everybody, it's a terrible choice, he's a comedian, blah, 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 till they saw his performance. And he was great, that always happens, they always prejudge. But I said, in this case, they don't want to do that because, it's just too much. Luke is such an icon of virtue, why would they cast him as this iconic, villainous, insane person? So what I'm saying is I knew I couldn't get the part. So I said, I'm going to go in there and make them really sorry they can't cast me. They're going to be so sorry they can't cast me. And by the way, you go in and there's footage already, lovely. There's footage already existing because you're dubbing the episodes that were done prior to being cast as the Joker. I did, 5 or 6. I'd have to go back and look and be exact. But it wasn't until the 6th or 7th or 8th episode where I went in and I met the whole cast. But I go in and ADR is kind of a technical, you have to match the mouth flaps because it's already animated. You get the beeps. You come in on the imaginary third beep. Beep, beep, to the line, okay? Because it'll fit. Backtrack until, sort of it's a rhythmic, almost musical talent. And it's an added burden unless by the time I got to the episodes where I didn't have to match somebody else's vocal tracks, at least the timing of their vocal tracks, I felt so liberating. So, I go in, I do the lines, and as I'm driving out, I'm very cocky. I'll show them, that's the best Joker they're ever gonna hear. And about 2 weeks later, my agent called and said, well, they want you. I said, for what? They said, for Batman. I said, for what for Batman? He said, you got the Joker. And I said, oh no, I can't do that. It's the Joker. It's too high profile. And your friends don't help. My friend who's an actor said, boy, you're pretty brave. I said, what are you talking about? Well, I wouldn't want to follow Jack Nicholson in anything. I went, oh no. And I love Cesar Romero, so all of them. I tell you, people ask me about Jokers, and there's so many great ones. I love Jeff Bennett in Brave and the Bold. He's got a smarminess I love. Of course, obviously Heath Ledger and Jared Leto, and I love John DiMaggio under the Red Hood. All fantastic versions of the Joker. And I don't believe there's any definitive version. It's a great part that's destined to be reinterpreted over and over and over again by other actors. But like I say, I left that audition thinking, they're going to really regret not casting me. So when I got it, I was just terrified. I thought, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do. What was I going to tell you? Oh, Kevin Michael Richardson, who was in The Batman. He got an Emmy nomination, see, and I never got an Emmy nomination. So Kevin's a buddy of mine. He's one of the most gifted and most versatile actors in voiceover. So whenever I see him, I say, well, you got the Emmy nomination for just shamelessly imitating me. But I can do that because he's a buddy. He knows I'm kidding. I did get nominated for a couple of Annie Awards. I know, that's my reaction too. Huh? What's an Annie Award? My agent said, oh, it's for the animation awards. And I said, oh, good, that's good. Who am I up against? And I heard the peg was rustling over the phone. She goes, well, Jeremy Irons and Lion King. I said, okay, stop! Jeremy Irons for Lion King? I'm gonna vote for him. So a couple years go by, and I think we did Mask with Phantasm, and once again the phone call came, oh, you've been nominated for another Annie. I said, oh boy. Actors, you can make up some fake award, we'll go for it. And I said, who else is nominated? She goes, okay, let me go through my notes. Well, Eddie Murphy for Shrek. I said, hello? But eventually, and I don't know, the video game awards, I don't even think they exist anymore. I lost to Jack Black, and I lost to Stephen Merchant, and it was one of those things where the last time I went, it was right in Culver City, so I could go, lose, and be back in my jockey shorts and my Barker Lounger before midnight. And about 2 weeks later, they said, oh, you've been nominated for a BAFTA. Now, I know what a BAFTA is. It's a British Academy Award. I said, I didn't even know they gave it for voiceover. I said, no, this is the first year that they give the voiceover award for the BAFTAs. And I said, well, who am I nominated against? And they said, well, Stephen Merchant for, I forget the game. I said, he just beat me 10 days ago in Culver City. He's fantastic, and he's British. So there's no way I'm going to go 6,000 miles round trip to lose. I mean, Culver City, it's a no-brainer. You can pick up a cheeseburger on the way home. I'm not flying all the way to London for that. And of course, what happens? I won! And what happened was I got nominated for a second time, and we were doing episode 8, and I said, oh, I should really go, because I'm not going to win for the same part, and I shouldn't. But it should be a nice way of showing that I support them, that I wasn't being snobby when I didn't show up. And I asked the producers, and they said, oh yeah, you're clear. And of course, when the date came, we were on all-night shoots, and I couldn't go, and I lost anyway. So I love that story. Now, I don't know if you want to ask questions, or you want me to talk about something else. One of the things I think my tracing back, people said, did this voiceover come out of the blue? I said, I got a tape recorder when I was about 9 or 10, little toy, reel to reel. And I loved it. I mean, I was taking my friends, I had my own show, Welcome to Ham's the Man, starring Richard Hamill, you know, and I would interview neighborhood people and people that would ordinarily be telling me to get off their lawn. And I started tape recording all these Universal horror films that I loved. I was fascinated with the music of the human voice. I never dreamed. Why? Listen to them, the children of the night, what sweet music they make. I said, who talks like this? I was asking my dad, where's this, why does he talk like that? I don't know, he's Dracula. Go do your homework. You know? And, but I loved all of that. Oh, let's call off. I didn't know that. He was strong. He had a thought of a slightly spot. And then you could go to the library. This was before the days of the internet. You go, oh, of course, he was born in England. That's why he talks that way. That's why Stan Laurel has that interesting way of speaking. Or Oliver Hardy was from Georgia. But I was taping all these, and cartoons as well. I loved the Mel Blanc and Clarence Nash, all the characters from the Bullwinkle show. And I tell you that Walt Disney has a lot to do with making it a reality for me, because you see these making of shows where they show Clarence Nash recording a Donald Duck cartoon. I said, wait a minute, let me get this straight. There's some guy whose job it is to get up in the morning, have a shower, eat breakfast, kiss his kids and his wife goodbye, and then go to work and do Donald Duck? I want that job. But even when I was a kid, I said, I'm going to do this. I couldn't really admit it to my brothers and sisters because they would, make fun of me. And I was always doing puppets. I had a magic act. I tried to be a cartoonist. I was always wanting to make people laugh, always wanting to communicate, always wanting to have fun. And I thought, there are people, and I would see these making ofs. I said, well, see, you don't have to be an actor. There's people that do the costumes, and there's the people that make the hair, there's the guy that makes the food for the crew. So I had a plan. I didn't know exactly what I would do, but I had to be in show business. I said, even if I'm horrible, I can learn to cook. I'll be a caterer. The first time I ever realized there was a tangible person because I didn't know how to get into show business. We didn't have anybody in show business. We didn't know anybody in show business. My father got transferred to Queens, New York. We were living there, and across the street, there was a woman who was the niece of Chuck Connors from The Rifleman. And I was just awestruck. This lady's related to someone who's on television. I didn't know anybody on television or in the movies, or on Broadway or anything else. And she used to give me, I guess it was like 50 cents to run down to the corner deli and get her a pack of Newports, and she would let me keep the change. And I would always buy a comic book or an ice cream bar or something like that. But it was a happier, simpler time when adults would gladly sell tobacco products to children. And I'd come back with their cigarettes, and I was telling me about Chuck Connors. Because I didn't know, it was so fascinating to me. But I think that was the beginning of it. Everything I did was towards a goal. So by the time I got into junior high school and high school, I was doing school plays. And to me, all the classes, I would get up in the morning and I was going to rehearsal. I was going to rehearsal at 4 p.m. All this geometry and, homeroom and English and gym class, and that's just something in the way of my job, which is to go be in this play. So again, delusional behavior. I encourage that amongst all of you, because why are we all here? We want to escape reality. I know I do. How about you? You turn on the TV, you read the news, everything's horrible. People are killing each other, global warming, save the whales. And I don't want that. I want to go to my happy place. I want to go to a galaxy far, far away. How about you? See, that's why, my daughter Chelsea, she used to watch The Wizard of Oz when she was 2 or 3, and she started, and when it got to the end, she needed to push rewind, days of VHS, and watch it again. She watched 4 or 5 times a day because her happy place was Oz. And my happy place is, I don't know, Tatooine. Is that still around? All right, so we have some questions coming up. What are they?
Mark, on behalf of everybody here, I guess, welcome and thank you for choosing to spend your weekend here in Toronto.
Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for inviting me. How many Canadians do we have? Oh, all right. How many non-Canadians? Security? All right. I kid. Yes.
My question, when you first read the script for the last movie, I'm just wondering your range of emotions when you saw the return of all your friends and characters from 30 years ago.
I know,
and
it's
then one of them.
Not only that is that overwhelming, this is overwhelming. I mean, to come face to face with so many of you that have stories about how it influenced your lives, or you met your husband online, or you named your kid Leia, or whatever. I mean, I actually met somebody who named their kid R2. And I that kid's got some playground scraps coming up in his life. But it's like Rockstar's kid, you know, they name him these goofy names by the time that, you know, Matt Groening named his son Homer. And now he's William or something, he picked his own name again, I don't want to be Homer anymore. Okay, son, you don't have to be. But no, it was overwhelming, because I mean, I love all those people, but I only see them infrequently, and to be back like that, especially because it was so unexpected. I mean, I certainly never thought, we had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was it. And George told me years ago, he said, I don't want to be doing these things in my 70s. After the prequels, that's it. We're not doing, what numbers would they be? 7, 8, 9. Which I never thought I would be in anyway, because it'd be about the new generation, as they should be. So, in fact, when they invited us, George invited us to lunch, and that wasn't unusual. What was unusual was they said, well, Chelsea can't come. She's going to go to lunch with George's daughter. So I said, ooh, there's something up there then. And I said, you know what? I know what it is. They're releasing these things in 3D now. They figured out another way to wring that last drop of money out of your wallet. Okay, we did VHS, we did DVD, we did Blu-ray, we did Smell-O-Vision. Oh, I know, let's do them in 3D. So I said, he's going to want us to do some promotional stuff for that. And she goes, I wonder if he might do another trilogy. I just laughed. I said, no, he's not going to do another trilogy. He told us he's not going to do another trilogy. So, you know, flash to George and, well, I'm going to sell the company, and Gabby Kennedy's taking over, and but they want to do a trilogy. And if you don't want to do the trilogy, we won't replace you, you know, we'll write you out, or whatever. And I'm like this with my best poker face. I like the end of episode 7. But I wasn't a giveaway. Because I'm telling you, I was totally gobsmacked. It was like somebody punched me in the solar plexus. Because it was so unexpected. And like 2 seconds go by and Carrie Fisher goes, I'm in! And is there anything for Billy? By the way, Billy Lord is her daughter. She's a wonderful actress. She's on Scream Queens now. I watch it every weekend. I say, Billy shows on. But later I said to Carrie, poker face. Talk to your agent first. We gotta demand some concessions from these people. I'm asking for a free breakfast every shooting day. And a limitless supply of Cheetos. That's in my contract. So, but I was just shocked, you know. There you go. And not only did that come back, but like I said, Squadron 42, The Flash. Are you kidding me? Yeah, listen. I'm a big fan. I love the original series, and I watched the new incarnation from episode 1. I said, this is really smart. The continuing story of John Wesley Shipp's character being wrongly accused of the murder of the wife. We didn't have that in the first go around, that connective thread that makes you come back like a soap opera or something. These Berlanti and Kreisberg, smart writers. So I said, well, you know, because I'm a big John Wesley fan, Shipp fan. I love the guy. He's a wonderful actor. And I watched it every week, and when my agent said, oh, they want you to come back, I said, well, I'm a contemporary of John, so he's in prison. I'll be the warden, probably. Maybe I'm a cellmate of his, a priest giving last rites, who knows? And I said, what do they want me to play? And she said, they want me to play the Trickster. It was risky for me getting into that skin-tight leotard 20 years ago. I'm not getting near that thing now. Come on, have it be age appropriate, you know? I don't look like an idiot. So I said, I don't know. I mean, it just sounds goofy hair and all that. Come on. Where's the dignity? Come on. But that's Mark thinking. I mean, when I'm actually in character, sky's the limit. I don't give a care. You know, that's what I love. That's why Killing Joke was so hard to watch, because, you know, when I was doing it was one thing, then I was watching this audience member and I go, ew, this is really hardcore. I forgot how grim it was. But anyway, did I answer your question in my own meander? Thank you very much. I mean, people love me to come on the radio because they, you know, on radio the thing they fear most is dead air. They call it dead air, right? Where there's just silence. On the radio, notice there's almost never dead air. So people don't think that, you know, suddenly they've lost the signal and changed the channel. And when I finish interviews, people go, oh, it's so great to have you today, because we say, how are you? And 20 minutes later, without asking you a question, we'll say, well, we're all out of time. So I'll get to the next question.
Hello, Master Luke. My name is Mark from Montreal.
Yeah, hi Mark. So Mark with a C then?
No, that's French. English is pig.
Okay. I'm still looking for a guy who spells it M-A-R-Q-U-E. Oh, that's a little pretentious, but
no, that's Marker.
Okay.
Question. Why? And what is your favorite Star Wars movie of all time?
Well, you know, listen, I'm not trying to dodge the question, but you love them like your children for different reasons, and you don't want to show favoritism. You know what I'm saying? It's true. But I mean, really pushed to the limit, I'd have to say the one that was the most challenging and what was the most unexpected, because it was so cerebral and had such an unexpected darkness to it, was Empire Strikes Back. It sort of set me up in the wrong way. I said, oh my God, this is so cool. He's slowly turning into Vader. He's got the mechanical hand now. He's all in black. I thought the plot of Jedi would be me turning to the dark side, undermining my previous compatriots, Han and Leia. Maybe playing a double agent where they don't know I'm undermining them. So, I mean, I was thinking, ooh, good, I get to play evil Luke. So, I was surprised at the way it went in Jedi, and you know, when I was suggesting things to JJ or to Ryan Johnson, there are people there that have like a encyclopedic knowledge of all Star Wars minutiae. You know, they have everything in the extended universe, and the comic books, and the games, and all of it. And a lot of my favorite plots had already been done. And what they want to do for the new ones is keep them fresh and exciting. But I'll tell you something, you know how annoying it is, you know, all this secrecy. I know you guys hate it. But we're not trying to play with you or annoy you. The whole idea is to save the surprises for the movies, not on the internet. Okay? So what I don't get, here's what I don't understand. You have these websites where clearly they're run by people that love these movies, love the franchise. Leaking, you know, I was reading on one website, I'm laughing because it's so off. And then one day I read the exact first 15, 16 minutes of episode 7 exactly as written. I said, oh my God, and I called Lucasfilm. I said, there's got to be a mole, there's a leak, because it's absolutely accurate. And about 2 weeks before the movie came out, from start to finish, to the very last, the figure turns, removes the head, and it's Luke, she holds the lightsaber, the end. The whole movie, 2 weeks before it came out. So definitely, there's somebody on the inside that's doing this. Because the scripts were printed on that kind of red paper that you can't photocopy. Somebody's probably reading it over the phone, into a tape recorder, I don't know. But what's weird is that these fan sites that are so comprised of people that so revere the material, ruining it for people, I just don't get it. I don't like knowing what I'm getting for my birthday. You know, I want it to be a surprise. And seriously, that's for your maximum enjoyment. Because it's so much more fun to see in the movies. Who wants to, you know, read on the internet? Oh, it turns out Vader's Luke Skywalker. Oh, spoiler alert. You don't want that. I don't think that. I don't think so. Oh, Mom, 5 more minutes, I'll have to talk fast. Yeah. Yes. Yes, yes. I can hear you.
Thank you. You got it. I need the mic. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming to Toronto. First question is, what color of lightsaber would you choose if you had to choose one for your own?
Oh, I think the rainbow lightsaber. How's that for a dodge?
Thank you very much. I like that one. And number 2, have you ever been to CN Tower and have you ever hung on?
I didn't hear a word he said. What was that?
Have you ever been to the CN Tower? And
Ever been to the CN? Huh? In Toronto? The last time I was in Toronto, I was doing an episode of the new Alfred Hitchcock show about, it was called Man on the Ledge. And I was threatening to commit suicide by jumping, and the police were all trying to talk me off the ledge. And it was like 22 flights up. I'm in a harness with the stunt guys in the hotel room holding me. But I'm telling you, you get on a ledge 22 floors up in Toronto, it's still scary. But no, I haven't been back since. But not for that reason. I go to Vancouver all the time. We call it Hollywood North. And let's face it, I know all you Canadians refer to America as Upper Mexico. Admit it. Admit it. That's okay. We're good with that.
Master Skywalker?
Yes, yes.
I got this chance to ask this question. But I was wondering if you could give us any broad strokes idea of where Luke is and mentally and emotionally at the end of 7 and beginning of 8. Was he planning on returning to aid the Resistance? And when he finds out Rey is Force sensitive,
Now, this is the wonderful paradox. Look at you all, looking at me so expectantly, waiting for that little morsel, that detail, that, you know, that might dribble out. I mean, come on, let's all have a collective laugh, because here you all, you've gone all this trouble to get dressed up, make sure somebody's watching your pets, and the kids are with babysitters, and you all come down here, you pay your money, you park your car, you come up for information about a movie that I'm contractually forbidden to talk about. It's fun in a way. So really, I can talk about 1 through 7. But not really, because people say, what were you thinking at the end of 7? So, and I can't really talk about that. And I'm sorry, but you won't have much longer to wait. You gotta wait for Amy, right? All right? How's that for a non-answer? Next.
Mr. Hamill, I would like to thank you for my birthday surprise, because today is my birthday.
Oh!
Thank you
Happy
very much for being
birthday.
here. And my
Your
question...
little flash dress.
I remember.
Oh. So good with lights in my eyes. Oh yeah, so it is.
My question is, what was it like doing the night the lights went out in Georgia?
Well, I love working with those people. I mean, Christine was a doll, and I love Dennis Quaid. You know, it was interesting. I did one thing that was kind of goofy, though. I said, I want to know what procedures like for sheriffs in the area. Can you arrange for me to be arrested? You know, actors get methody and so forth. But I did. They said, well, all you have to do is just loiter around and hang out somewhere with no ID, and you'll get arrested. And I was. And they booked me into jail and the whole thing. And once you're in the cell, though, you go, gee, I wonder if I didn't really think this through. I hope people know I'm here and they'll come down and get me. Oh, look, we have a guest star. It's Billy the Magnificent. Hey, how are you? Are you all right? This is my signal. It's time to get off. One more question that we have time for? Do we? One more, okay. Very quickly. Billy, do you have a question? No, she has no question. Yes.
Hi, welcome to Toronto. I just wanted to ask, How does it feel to be working on Star Wars again? Are you super excited?
Amazing, and I don't take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm enjoying it now in a way that I didn't the first time around. Because Star Wars was my first feature film, see? And I had a blast. It's like I was the biggest fanboy of them, any of the cast members. But this time, it's like, you ever find an old pair of pants you haven't worn in like years, and there's like a $20 bill in the pocket? You like that $20 more because it's unexpected. And that's what returning to Star Wars is like for me. And thank you all for having me. I'm telling you, I enjoy talking to you more than anything, more than signing, more than the photo op. I love you love me, it's all of us, so thank you so very much.